Welcome, UCL fans, to the unofficial review and ranking for Week 2 for the United Championship League. I am your host, Nintendo Fanatic 64, and I have crunched the numbers and I have come up with a fair analysis of what I believe to be the rankings for the United Championship League. Now, I would like to mention once again that I am not associated with the UCL or any of its coaches, but if any of them are watching and do approve of the rankings, please let me know in the comment section or give this video a thumbs up. Now, we're going to start off with the review of all 8 battles that took place this past week. Starting off, we have the Tucson Terrakions entering into the week 1-0, taking on the Grand Canyon Greninjas, entering this week with a 0-1. The victory went to Tucson Terrakions with a 4-0 victory over the Grand Canyon Greninjas. The MVP of this match goes to Rotom Wash from the Tucson Terrakions with 2 knockouts in the match. Entering in next, we have the Bristol City Blazekins with a record of 1-0, taking on the South Beach Slow Kings with a record of 0-1. And the victor for this match went to the Bristol City Blazekins with a 4-0 victory over the South Beach Slow Kings. MVP in this match goes to Ambipom from the Bristol City Blazekins with 3 knockouts. Up next, we have the New York Yankees entering in with a record of 1-0, taking on the St. Louis Rampardos, also with a 1-0 victory. And in a narrow 1-0 win, went to St. Louis. The MVP for St. Louis goes to Conkelder, which had 3 knockouts during this match. Entering in the next match, we have the Philadelphia Feraligators with a win-loss record of 1-0, taking on the Toronto Tokikis, also with a record of 0-1. And in a 4-0 victory goes to the Philadelphia Feraligators. MVP for Philadelphia will go to Snorlax with 2 knockouts this week. Next up, we have the Newcastle Nido-Kings with a record of 0-1, taking on the Bronze Beartics with a 1-0 record. And with a 2-0 win goes to Bronze Beartics. The MVP for the Bronze Beartics will go to Reuniclus, who actually managed to knock 4 Pokemon out this week. Next up, we have the Carolina Keldeos with a 1-0 record, taking on the Pittsburgh Pichus, also with a 1-0 record. And in a very narrow 1-0 victory, went to the Carolina Keldeos. The MVP for Carolina would probably go to Sneasel, which had 2 knockouts in this, but there is an honorable mention going to Sylveon from the Carolina Keldeos for surviving a Flare Blitz from Entei in the end of the game to win the match due to recoil damage. Had it not been for the recoil damage, the victory might have gone to Pittsburgh, whose MVP in this match would have been Entei, who actually had 4 knockouts before succumbing to a loss with recoil damage. Had it just been able to take out Sylveon, then he probably would have gone 5 wins and have been the MVP for the entire game. Next up, we have the Tulsa Talonflames with a 0-1 record, taking on the Long Island Regirockies, also with an 0-1 record. And in a 4-0 victory, went to the Long Island Regirockies. The MVP goes to the Long Island Regirockies Mega Manectric that knocked out the last 2 Pokemon from the Tulsa Talonflames. In our final match, we have the Manchester Magnazones taking on the Durham Druddigons. Manchester Magnazones, of course, with a record of 0-1, while the Durham Druddigons with a 1-0 victory. And with this, or 1-0 record, I should say. And in this match, we had a 4-0 victory for the Durham Druddigons. MVP goes to the Durham Druddigons with the Mega Charizard X that had 3 knockouts. But we also have honorable mentions to the Drapion, also from the Durham Druddigons, that had 2 knockouts via Toxic Spikes damage in the end. 2 Pokemon fell to the toxic damage from the Toxic Spikes. Alright, so now that we've taken care of all 8 battles, it's time to move on to the ranking system. So I have ranked all the coaches and all the teams by how many Pokemon they have knocked out, as well as how many of their Pokemon were knocked out between the first and second week. So starting off at 16th, who was also ranked 16th last week, we have the South Beach Slow Kings. Unfortunately, not doing too well, have a -10 because they've lost 12 Pokemon total, and have only knocked out 2 Pokemon between Week 1 and Week 2. So, they have a long way to go if they want to try and make the Final Four and make it into the playoffs this season. Next up, we have a three-way tie for 13th place going to the Toronto Togekiss, the Manchester Magnezones, and the Tulsa Talonflames. Total of 12 Pokemon knocked out between the three of them, of course, as all of these teams have so far, but have knocked out a total to bring their total point score to a -7. Last week, Toronto Togekiss was ranked 11th, Manchester was ranked 14th, and Tulsa was also ranked 13th last week as well. Number 12 this week goes to the Newcastle Nidokings. Last week they were ranked 12th, and so far they've knocked out 6 but have lost 12. So they have a record of 0-2 right now. Number 11 we have with an 0-2 rank. 0-2 win-loss record. We have the Grand Canyon Greninjas. Fell 2 slots. They were 9th last week. They have knocked out about 7 Pokemon compared to the 12 Pokemon that they have lost. Number 10, we have the Long Island Regirockies with a record of 1-1. Were ranked 15th last week, so have actually moved up quite ahead in the rankings. They still have lost more Pokemon than they've taken out, but only by 1. But they have moved up exponentially in the rankings. Number 9, we have the Pittsburgh Pichus, also with a record of 1-1. They've actually lost just as many as they've knocked out. They've lost 6, and they've taken out at least 6, or they've knocked out as many as they've taken out. They have they're not ahead or behind in any way right now. Last week they were ranked 7th, so they have dropped just the 2 spots. Next up, we have the Carolina Keldeos with a 2-0 run right now. They've only managed to knock out 1 more Pokemon than they've lost. Last week they were ranked 6th, and they have fallen down 2. Next up, we have the Philadelphia Feraligators with a 1-1 record. Last week they were ranked 10th, so they've moved up 3 spots on it. At number 6, we have the Bronze Bearticks with a 2-0 record. Last week they were ranked 8th, so they have moved up 2 spots. At number 5, we have the St. Louis Rampardos, also with a 2-0 record. Last week they were also ranked 5, and they probably would have ranked 4th if they had not lost as many Pokemon this week than they did last week. Coming in at number 4, we have the New York Yankees with a record of 1-1, and the only reason that they are outranking a lot of these other teams is just because of due to the Week 1 6-0 victory. This week they only lost by 1 Pokemon, so they have unfortunately dropped from 1st down to 4th on it, but they still have a long ways to go to try and make it back up to that number 1 spot. Next up, we have a tie for 2nd place between the Tucson Terrakions and the Bristol City Blazekins, each having knocked out a total more of 8 Pokemon compared to what they have lost. Last week they were ranked 3rd and 4th, so they have moved up, and they're on to a great start, but anything can happen since it is only week 2. And then ranking number 1 this week is the Durham Druddigons with a record of 2-0. Last week they were ranked 2nd, but thanks to the loss of the New York Yankees, were able to move up to that number 1 spot. This is a tight match up so far. There's still a long way to go. We're only 2 weeks into this 15-week season, so we will see what happens in the outcome. But for that is going to wrap up the results of the Week 2 UCL matches. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more UCL news. To stay up to date, of course, with the UCL, best way to do it is through their official Twitter. Like I said, I am not affiliated with them. I'm just a big fan that it wants to put out the rankings for everybody. But if you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comments section below. But with that, I will be back next week with the rankings and reviews after I crunch the numbers. Until then, I will see you then. Take care and goodbye.